How do we navigate AI? That's the topic that we're going to address today on Flourishment. I'm your host, Tina Yeager, and today I have an amazing, incredible guest on Flourishment. Her name is Kathleen Cooke, and she's an award winning producer, a SAG actress, global speaker, writer, and co founder of the multi award winning media company Cooke Media Group and the nonprofit The Influence Lab. She's the founder and global director of Influence Women, and she has a lot to say about AI. Welcome, Kathleen. I'm delighted to have you on Flourishment today.
Oh, thank you so much, Tina. It's so lovely to be with you today. And I don't know whether I have a lot to say about AI. I'm just trying to hold on to the reins and ride the pony down the road, so to speak.
Kathleen, I'd like to dive into some practical things about how to address AI. Let's start with people who are leaders in their own organizations or who have leadership positions in organizations that are bigger corporations or Christian organizations, ministries, those kinds of things. How do we navigate AI in a way that protects our companies, protects our employees, protects our ministries, but at the same time leverages it well so that we can stay on top of technology and move forward into the future?
That's a great question. And it's a very complicated and layered question as well. So I think the first thing to do is to use it as to help you do administrative skills. You know, I left the other day, my husband and I were speaking in England this last month, and we just needed to get across town. So instead of Googling how to get across town where we were, I asked my chat GPT, how do we get from this place to that place? And it just spelled it all out for me in very real terms. So from just real practical, small questions, if you're researching something within your company, it's a great place to do that. And of course, learning how to put in the right prompts for it is really key. You know, depending on what program you have, whether you just have the free ChatGPT or you have the professional version, you can take pictures of things. We had a woman, like I said, at our workshop that is a film director. She used it to help her write the theme song for her movie. And she put in, here's what the movie's about. Here are the characters. Here's the underlying themes. You know, she kind of laid it all out. And what kind of song would you produce for this? And so you then can take that. What she did was she took that song then to her musical team that was helping her put the music together. And of course, they didn't take it completely the way it is, but it gave them a base and a place to begin. She also took and put in for her key art for her poster. Here's what this is the movie about. Here are the colors we want to use. And you go through layers of questions and processing it, and then you can take and use it. So again, you know, you don't want to be stealing from somebody else, but at the same time, you can use it to help guide and direct you and get you started. You know, I laughingly say, get the train on the track first and get it going down the hill. It's a time saver. It's a money saver. It can help put programs for you together. It can design PowerPoint presentations, all of those kind of things that we're needing today, and it gets you started. But again, you know, you have to know, where is this coming from? Is this the direction I want to go? How can I use it and reform it? You know, I laughingly say, Tina, we've all been using GPS in our cars for a long time or on our phones. I can put coordinates into my GPS and say, I know that I'm going to be going to this part of town, and I kind of know how to get there. I may not know that exact street and where I'm going over there, but I know it's in this part of the town. And I'll put those coordinates in my GPS, and all of a sudden it takes me off on a different track, a different way. So I have to ask myself, do I trust that? Or do I go with my gut instinct and knowing, well, maybe this time of day, this is going to be a little bit more crowded. Maybe there's construction I know that's going on. Maybe I need to use my brain and say, no, I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go this way. Or maybe I'm going to say, let me take that and try it out and see if that's going to work for me, or if that's going to be a better way of getting to where I need to go. And that's really how we need to approach AI with all of our questions, with all of the different ways that we're going to be using it, is try it out, see where it's going to take you, adjust it, and know and have some knowledge about it. I think the scary part again is when we get into moral questions, when we get into, emotional issues, mental health issues that would be guiding us, spiritual issues for sure. Can we rely on AI to really give us the right answers? And will we take those answers, just take them as truth, or will we actually take and use them as research and check them out? And so I think that's how we as leaders really need to approach that. And we're all learning, and we're going to make lots of mistakes with it, but we've got to learn it.
I think that's true. You need to always follow back and find out where the content's coming from. Ask ChatGPT where they found it. Make sure it's not copyright protected to protect yourself from that, but also make sure it's a reliable source, because it can come from anywhere. It can come from a very unreliable source and it might not be true. And then those sticky issues with music and pictures, graphics, film clips, things that you could ask ChatGPT to do. How do you know where those are coming from and how to modify those in a way that you're not infringing on copyrights? That's a little bit more difficult to follow. Did you find out some information about that when you were discussing this at NRB?
My focus at the NRB that day was not an in-depth webinar or teaching session. Certainly there are some great books out there. Misty Phillip has written a book on it. It's a good one. She has a company that talks about cyber attacks and using AI for evil, basically, and how we can really understand it. So I would, suggest looking up that book. She was actually at our event as well and gave a little pitch for that. You just have to do your research. You got to do your due diligence, so to speak, and use your mind and your wisdom on it. Certainly it is going to be used to do some evil, basically. It already has, but we've got to use it with wisdom and do your research. There's some great books out there. Get them, read them, and chat will tell you where they've gotten the information. My husband did a kind of a fun thing one day and found out, just asked it, who is Phil Cooke? My husband is Phil Cooke. Who is Phil Cooke? And it gave him all these things. And the final thing he asked me, he said, well, what are people saying that are positive about Phil Cooke? What are things that are being negative about Phil Cooke? And then he said, where did this information come from? And chat came back and said, well, those negative things really are not things that, anybody's really said. I'm just programmed to be able to give you some negative responses. And so, and there you have it. So again, asking it the right question. Where is it coming from? Where are you getting your information? Are you making this up? It'll tell you, and it's pretty honest.
It occurs to me that we need to be very protective over children who could be easily influenced by things that appear to be true and they're not. Are there certain things that parents need to put in place?
Absolutely. As a media consumer, but also as a media producer, I have children and grandchildren. Of course, when my children are growing up, we were just developing cell phones. We didn't have the internet even until they were later in life. And so it's a whole new culture and jungle out there, so to speak, for parents to have to navigate through and really take, pitchforks and just dump out stuff from what the kids are being exposed to these days. I would never put a television in a kid's room. I would check cell phones, for the amounts of time. Even your top people, Mark Zuckerberg and others who've developed, huge, Facebook and some of our other huge developers, they limit their kids on what they can do on their cell phone. They put limits on it. There are lots of parental things that can be put on cell phones and on televisions. So I would, again, investigate those. There's numerous ones you can buy. The average age in America right now that a child has a cell phone is 9. which is way too early for me as far as I'm concerned. Most of our child psychologists and counselors will tell you that you really should not allow a child to use a cell phone or be on the internet more than 1 hour a day past what they're needing to do with their schoolwork. Certainly many of them have to do research and do work on papers and things like that on the computer. But what's sad to me too is that parents are vacating their parental abilities because their face is also in a cell phone or on a screen somewhere. We are allowing our screens to parent our kids these days as never before. And so I would really admonish parents to use wisdom. God gave you beautiful gifts of children. Don't let their minds be cluttered with junk that they don't need to be cluttered with, and encourage them, to get out and away and to write, to read, off the screen as well. Books are still very important and very needed. I'd really encourage parents to please parent your child. Use your wisdom. And it is a scary world out there, but it can be navigated. And check the maturity of your child as well. How are they handling the cell phone? How are they handling the media that is around them? Certainly games, video games come into play with this, and augmented reality, all of these things. They're wonderful and they're fun. And again, we need to, enjoy them, but we also need to know how to use them with a brain, so to speak.
Kathleen, you have so much to offer. I know that you have Influence Lab, Influence Women, and lots of projects of your own. Can you talk about how people can connect with you and benefit from the many things that you could be equipping us to navigate outside of just AI?
Well, thank you for that question. Yes, again, if you go to influencewomen.org, we have a membership there. It's free. We'd love for you to be a part of that. We also have our Influence Women YouTube channel, and it's full of podcasts and webinars and recaps of our many events that we've had at many of our chapter groups around the United States. We have great leaders, great women who are teaching you how to use media effectively to tell your story, how to write effectively, how to write a book, how to write a script, how to set a light, how to navigate being a producer of a film, how to be a great actor. But then we also have great people on there that are teaching you how to navigate your own personal life so that you can be successful. Has someone in the past shared something with you that may have challenged you and kept you from moving forward on what God has actually given you to do? The father who may have said something negative, or a brother or a boyfriend that told you you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not going to be you're not intelligent enough to be able to do what God's called you to do. Those are all negative things that are not from the Father above. And so we've got lots of great workshops on that. We talk about special needs. If you have a child with special needs, how do you navigate media with them? How can you encourage them if they want to be, an actor or a writer or a producer or a musician? How can you as a parent encourage them? And how can you as a creator create for them so that the information and the content that needs to get out there can be made appropriately and made to resonate and reach into the lives of people? God gave us these great tools, and that's really what AI is. It's what our screens are all about. It's what, podcasts are all about, television shows, films. They're all just tools of communication, and God is wanting us to communicate with him. And so I would encourage you to go again on our YouTube channel, Influence Women, and grab some of those great webinars and podcasts that we've done. We do when you become a member of Influence Women, you'll get a weekly journal. So the first Thursday of every month will be an article from myself encouraging you and listing all of the events and things happening. Second Thursday of the month will be a release of our podcast. The third Thursday is a thing called our interview, our INNERVIEW, an interview with a woman who has fused her career and her faith together and how she can encourage your life. And then the fourth Thursday of the month is really a report on what I call from our mothership. Influence Women is really an initiative of our larger organization called the Influence Lab. And the Influence Lab works with men and women globally and helping them learn how to use media effectively. So we hold workshops, we go to conferences, we've done all sorts of training around the world. I was just in Ghana, Africa, several months ago with a team of 5. I was teaching theatrical acting. We had a producer, a writer, director. And so we bring teams over to help those boots on the ground in those countries on how to use media effectively to share who Jesus is and to share the redemptive story of God and how we can grow our lives together and fuse our lives together in the work that he's given us here on earth and infuse our faith in with it and share the gospel. So that's what we do.
I hope that all of you listening were inspired and equipped to be a little less afraid, yet hold on to your wisdom when it comes to AI. And of course, I also hope that you will come back for the next episode of Flourishment.